it looks like the Don't Say Baby law, Roe v. Wade, could be overturned, and it's a great day if that's the case. Because that is the cornerstone of so much of what's wrong in this country. The destruction of the family starts with cheapening life. You cannot have robust, strong families when you cheaply throw kids away as if they're expendable. You cannot have a sense of language having any directional touch point with reality when you try to play word games and say, well, because the body that we are going to kill is smaller and unseen and in another body, therefore, it doesn't have bodily rights. No, that's absolutely insane. It's barbaric. It's brutish. It's extreme. And it's hateful. And it will be defeated by history. History will break the back of all of the wicked attacks against unborn children. And it will stop that movement dead in its tracks, just like the Canaanites, just like the Amalekites who sacrificed their children to whatever their gods were. It won't happen in the future that this idea of cheap abortion on demand will be the law of the land. That just won't happen. Those kind of societies extinguish themselves. And it's not enough to be just pro-life when it comes to the unborn. We have to be pro-life when it comes to respecting life around the world. That's why we should call for an immediate, as John Zmirak was saying, and as others, and as I've repeatedly said, an immediate peace talks to bring resolution to this war and not allow these neocon nihilist freaks, these hateful bigots, these extremist radical anarchists to bring us into a nuclear attack using every opportunity to set up for a false flag. We are sick and tired of their lying games. We're not going to allow them to harm our families anymore. We're not going to allow them to hurt the innocent and the weak and the vulnerable. They have been killing people all over the world. We're sick and tired of it. The whole world is sick and tired of the neocon warmongering, the surveillance, the torture. You don't have cheap torture in this country without first having cheap access to abortion of human life. You don't have a war on drugs without having cheapening of human life. It all goes hand in hand together. We need to protect life in all of its stages, in all of its different facets and forms. A person's a person, no matter how small. That's Dr. Seuss. They hate Dr. Seuss because of stuff like that, I guess. It's old-fashioned, apparently, to care about human life. The only thing that's modern is that you're supposed to pick some kind of interest group and worship the state and demand violence be enacted against your opponents. That's not new. That's not progressive. That's the most old-fashioned, stinky crap we've ever seen in human history. It's called pagan sacrifice. There's nothing new or progressive about that. Killing people you don't like isn't new or progressive. Killing people that are inconvenient isn't new or progressive. What's new and fake progressive is the fancy rhetoric that we have been selling ourselves to justify what is considered direct and clearly barbarity. And barbarity belongs in the past. It doesn't belong in the future. Barbarity and sanctions, starving people. I am sick and tired of the party that has no problem worshiping Madeleine Albright for murdering 500,000 Iraqi kids through starvation in the 90s, and the same party that wants to kill babies even when they're born. I am sick and tired of that party lecturing us about what it means to have a bleeding heart of empathy. You don't have it, sir, ma'am, whatever you are. You don't have it if that's your framework. You do not have it. You must have a foundation of empathy that loves life and human personhood, and we will beat this Gnostic heresy called leftism and send it packing. Not through falling into the same ugliness that they do but by having a strong and unabashed defense of what is right and wrong. It is wrong to steal. It's wrong to kill. It's wrong to assault the family. It's wrong to debase people's money, and we won't allow people to tell us anything else. They can have Facebook. They can have Google. They can have ABC. They can have CBS and CNN and Bloomberg, but they cannot have the truth and rewrite it. It will not be rewritten. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all of its CBS's and CNN's and Bloomberg's and NBC's and ABC's tried to put it back together, but they couldn't because they're not in charge of history. They don't run history. They just talk a big game like a schoolyard bully, bullying you. That's what Elizabeth Warren's doing right now, shaking and frothing at the mouth about her sacred right to murder people who are smaller than her. A typical bully. Typical bullies like Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi talk a big game about caring about the poor and vulnerable, and all they've done is rip apart the poor with inflation through the Federal Reserve, debasing their purchasing power, robbing their savings, robbing people's dignity, robbing people's ability to have a family. These people are bullies disguising themselves as heroes, and they're shameless, stumbling and bumbling around in the parking lot as they talk about how angry they are. You're angry. That's all you guys have is anger and hate. And we're sick and tired of you hurting people that can't fight back. We're sick and tired of you liars sending Ukrainians to death just because you got to make sure your oligarchs have their nice fat paycheck. You didn't care, Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi. You didn't care about the 14,000 Ukrainians, many young kids, many women, many identifying as trans, killed. You didn't care. You just care about using life as a cheap human shield to gain power and coerce and punish and hurt people who disagree with you. You're a stinky, petty tyrant, all of you. Chewing on your tongue, Nancy Pelosi, just like Nebuchadnezzar. You're going to be chewing on grass soon in the way your derangement would send you into that state of decay where you're over there braying at the fields and chewing on grass because you are consumed by your own degraded worldview, hurting the poor, robbing from the poor, debasing our currency. We can't save money. You're robbing from the elderly. The Federal Reserve prints money to the tune of trillions of dollars for con artists like Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi to enrich their friends and special interests and to impoverish through the inflationary tax those who are on fixed incomes like the elderly. They want us to play games with life, and we will not allow that to happen. We will fight back for the innocent. We will defend those who cannot be defended. These little children in the womb, they cannot fight back, so we must fight back for them. People caught in the midst of a war between two wicked countries in Ukraine and Russia, they can't defend themselves from having all of that support attack against them, so we must stand in solidarity with them and say not one more bomb between both of you, not one more greedy, nasty oligarch. Get your greedy hands off the Ukrainian people's throats. Both of you oligarchs, be gone. In terms of the factions that trying to use those countries for their own self-indulgent profits. We're not going to allow these people to lie us into oblivion.